everybody. Welcome to HBCU Drumline Talk. My name is Ricardo Reese, and I'm joined by my brother in percussion, EP the Great, also known as Elijah Powell. And we are back at it once again. And, you know, I take a look back and I think about our previous episode. What a great episode with Delaware State. You know, we got a lot of information from them. You know, Mike Purnell gave some great information on that. What do you think, EP?
Yeah, he's doing some great work over there. Learned some stuff, by having him on our cast. You know,
Yeah.
great information.
For sure. And as well, you know, he gave some history about Virginia State as well. And speaking of history, you know, I think about HBCUs just in general. Man, what abundance of history that's located with each individual school. Each campus looks different. Each campus is just amazing. And I encourage anyone out there, if you get a chance to travel to them all, please do. You
Yep.
will definitely be in for a great surprise. And speaking of history, you know, I think about there's one HBCU band per se that I really want to look at here, and they have been going for quite some time since the late 1800s, early 1900s. You know, they started with the military and everything, and real heavy military influence, especially with the band. And man, the list of directors that they've had is just amazing.
Yep.
You know, just unreal. So, and I think about the folks that have come from this particular school, you know, people like Lionel Richie, you know, people from the Commodores, things like that, or people like that. We got some other folks, other HBCU band directors as well has gone to this school. I think as well, they could be deemed as the oldest drum line.
Yes,
And
sir.
that right there
Yeah.
is amazing.
Yeah.
And who am I talking about today? We have Tuskegee University's drumline on. They're called Sticky Thang. And we have two great gentlemen here, Mr. Raja Drah, and Kobe Tolbert. And they are I'll let you guys introduce you guys yourselves and we'll take it from there.
All right. Thank you for having us. Firstly,
Yep.
my name is Rasha Drah. I'm a senior English major from Tacoma, Washington, and I'm currently the overall percussion section leader at Tuskegee University.
Good evening, my name is Kobe Tolbert. I'm a graduating senior in aerospace engineering major. I'm from Auburn, Alabama, but I actually grew up in Tuskegee, Alabama.
And I played there.
Okay, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. You got some heavy majors there, right?
I was about to say some hard majors going on.
Yeah, some real challenging majors. Okay, gentlemen, so we're going to jump right into it. And, you know, speaking to you guys, just if you can, tell us about your journey with percussion and how you actually made it to Tuskegee University.
Well, I'll go first. With my journey with percussion, throughout my life, I've always been a percussionist, but I wasn't able to fully establish a certain discipline with it until I was about 8 years old. So growing up, you know, through school and when I was younger, my toddler years, I was always, you know, beating on things. And my first, I'd say, facet into percussion was when I was younger, I used to take dance classes at the YMCA. And, you know, one of those dance classes that I always loved was tap dancing, you know, which was a different type of body percussion. And so that was one of my favorite things to do. And then eventually I grew out of tap dancing and went into elementary school and whatnot. And I was just always tapping my pencil on my desk, or I was always just banging on things and just making a lot of noise. I get complaints from my peers and from teachers, you know, parent teacher conferences that was like, yeah, your son's a good kid, but he's very noisy, you know, he's very distracting when it comes to classes and everything like that. And so, you know, me being born in 1999, you know, it was the drumline era, you know, when I was around like 8 years old. Yeah, 8 years old. I saw the Drumline movie with Nick Cannon, and it definitely inspired me. I saw where Devin Miles was at, and I was like, that's where I want to be in the future. That's what I definitely want to do. You know, and my mother asked me, she was like, would you like to take drum lessons? And, you know, I was a little skeptical about it at first, but I was like, yeah, I'd like to take drum lessons. So I took drum lessons. I started playing drum set primarily. And I had lessons for about a year under the direction of this man named Jay Douglas in Tacoma, Washington. And I had to start teaching myself because we couldn't provide for those lessons anymore financially. And so I was teaching myself through middle school. You know, I'd say I was coming well along with it, humbly speaking. I got to middle school. That's when I started going into marching percussion, started playing snare. I was captain in middle school. I was assistant captain my freshman year of high school. And I became captain my sophomore year through my senior year. And then I ended up coming to Tuskegee. At first, I didn't audition actually because of some issues that were going on. And so I had a late audition with our percussion instructor, Mr. Tolbert, and he auditioned me the third day of band camp and deemed me, ready to be able to begin the training process of being a part of the Marching Crimson Piper Band. And the rest is history,
There it is.
Well, for my journey, I'd say around the 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, I went to Tuskegee High School. I pretty much around that time, I participated in the African drama ensemble that my school offered. And I was like, this kind of interesting. I'm liking it. I had troubles because I really don't have no rhythm, but I always kind of like grew how to do it, learning count and everything, learning music. So 7th grade came around and I joined my high school marching band. I started off on trumpet. Can I get trumpet? I did trombone for 2 years. Then situations happened at my high school where the band went from 20 members to only 8 members. And since we only had 8 members, the only thing that we could do was just pick up drums. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to be a little out my range, but let's go ahead and try it. So I tried bass drum, didn't work out one day at practice. I failed, went tumbling down the hill with the drum on. So my band director, he put me on the cymbals. And I just been on cymbals ever since then. Just when I had started to graduate, I was like, well, gotta find a school. I already knew I wanted to do aerospace because I love planes, missiles, anything that has to go in orbit in the sky. So I was like, well, I don't want to move far from home. And I was like, well, Tuskegee is actually right down the road. And I already knew how the band program was running. I knew who was in charge. And just being like, as they say in the country terms, a homeboy, I already knew how to get into Tuskegee. So saw the Tuskegee offered the aerospace program. I put in my application. Within 2 weeks, I got my acceptance letter, got a scholarship. And I was like, well, let me see if I can find out something about the band. Like, if the band offering a scholarship, how do I join? I got in contact with Mr. Leonard. I actually met his mom and dad. I was getting some senior rewards, and they was finding out I was getting like the band member with the high GPA, most dedicated band member, just things like that. And his mom walked up to me and she said, hey, my son's the director for Tuskegee University Band. So this is information. And what you can do is just give him a call with your band director and y'all can set up a time to do an audition and everything. Well, late June, met Mr. Leonard, did my audition piece and everything. And I just walked away with like a $5,000 scholarship. I was like, wow. Just getting up there and just playing like simple rhythms, doing my prepared piece I worked on and just learning how to sight read and doing everything. I was like, it's easy to get money like that. Got into band and here I am now.
Well, that's great, you guys. Raj, Kobe, let me tell you, you won't be the first to get in trouble for tapping on the desk. I assure you that. I know I've had my stints with, pencils and everything on the desk, having the teachers tell me, hey, look, one more tap and it's over.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
So, Raj, you said the Drumline movie inspired you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just want to say this real quick. Nick Canyon, if you're listening, I sent you an email. We need you on as a guest. You inspired a lot of, percussionists, with that movie. So you
Whole
listen.
generation.
Yes. Answer your email. Need you as a guest, Nick Canyon. All right, we're now moving on. What HBCU division is Tuskegee in, and what HBCU schools do you guys play? And now that, I guess, list, what's one school you look forward to, I guess, a battle, drumline battle?
Well, Tuskegee, we are in the SIAC, the SEAC division, which we Division 2, right?
Yes.
Division 2. And we play HBCUs like Edward Waters,
Miles College,
Morehouse, Alabama State. Well, for the Labor Day Classic, that's our first game every year.
we're actually going to start back picking up on Alabama A&M as well. Can't remember what game that is going to be here, but I actually know that we're actually going to be playing Alabama State for Turkey Day this coming up on season.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually the game against Alabama State is our most popular game. That's when everybody usually comes out. So the Labor Day Classic. So it's probably going to be the same with the Turkey Day Classic to up and coming years. But I look forward to battling Morehouse every year and Clark Atlanta. Well, whether it's the stands or whether it's blocking up, those are the two schools that I definitely look forward to battling every year.
Okay. I think we had you guys on our schedule, Virginia State, before COVID happened, if I'm not. Yeah,
we were
man,
just talking about.
Yeah, I was very excited, as I'm an instructor for the Drumline. I was very excited to do that, but COVID happened, so hopefully it come again around. They put us on the schedule together again.
I was looking forward to that battle.
Yeah.
That's like was one of my actually since this was my last semester, my last year marching for the band. When I heard that we was gonna be playing Virginia State, I said, you know what, it's gonna be a great battle. I'm gonna do all my effort.
Two different styles, just having fun. Yep.
Yeah, that's great. So I think you guys mentioned the SEAC. So you guys play probably about 6-7 schools, Morehouse, Clark Atlanta, is correct with that? Edward Waters, Miles, and all, okay, some powerhouse schools at this point. Being that the both of you are captain and co-captain on the line at this point together, what are some of the challenges that you have run across being a captain and a co-captain? And Raj, just tell us when you actually became captain of the line.
Well, I became captain of the percussion section in the spring of 2018. So going right into my sophomore year, I came in as a freshman, and there was this upperclassman. It was the bass drum section leader, actually. His name was Byron. It was mid-season. He pulled me to the side after practice when practicing. He gave me his ear and was like, the upperclassmen have been talking about you, and it looks like you're going to be the man next year. That's what he said. He didn't really make it directly, but it looks like you're going to be the man next year. So I suggested be on your P's and Q's and be a more vocal leader among your class and among the other people among the section, because you're definitely displaying all those leadership capabilities that we need for the section. So my sophomore year, I became the captain. And as far as the challenges that me and Kobe face, it's pretty smooth, to be honest with you. Me and Kobe never butt heads. As captain and co-captain, we're all pretty much on the same page, because we share a lot of different connections. We're both members of the same section. We were once both the same major. We're both in the same fraternity, Kappa Psi, National Honorary Band Fraternity Incorporated, and so we're on the same page with a lot of things. I'd say the challenges that we probably face as captain and co-captain would be picking and choosing which performances we can take and which we can't take. Because with Tuskegee, what makes us different among every other HBCU is that we hold such a high standard with academics, and so a lot of us are in time-consuming majors, that have a lot of rigorous studies. So some practices, some people have to miss in order to be able to do a project or to be able to work on something that they need more time to do. And when it comes to some performances, either Mr. Leonard or Mr. Tolbert will probably give us the offer. Somebody wants us to play here, this elementary school, like this theater or something, there's some type of venue. And they're going to ask me and Kobe, do we have enough people, enough personnel for the job? And are we going to have enough practice time to be able to make sure that we have the necessary cadence, the necessary material to be able to come put on the show and then exit? And some of these performances we have to decline because some members of the section are going to be gone. We're not as big as of a section as other schools because the intake process of getting into Tuskegee is a little more rigorous than other people. And, our recruitment is very different as well. But let me focus back on the main part of the question.
Hey, man, listen, I will say this, take your time. This is your platform. We're listening. I'm in awe right now. So keep going.
So yeah, so we'll just, me and Kobe will probably sit and we'll converse. Do we have enough people? You know, are we gonna make it a proportionate number? Are we gonna probably have about 2 snares, 2 cymbals, 2 tenors, 2 basses? You know, try and either scale it down or scale it up. You know, because sometimes Mr. Leonardo say we need a certain number. You know, because they're looking for this many people, we need a spot to fill, or will we have enough material to be able to fill that amount of time? You know, like if they said they want us there for about an hour, you know, do we have an hour's worth of material, or can we make something that can fill the space? So I say, when it comes to accepting certain performance venues, that would be our main challenge. Everything else really falls into place between me and Kobe, at least from my point of view.
Yeah, then on my half, like I said, like I already said, me and him, we do pretty much like we work hand in hand together. But at the same time, like as a session, as 2 leaders of the session, we have to also make sure that our session is straight. So whether it's like they like our bass drums, they might have like this big project coming up in their classes. We're like, okay, well, we know we have practice this time, so we're gonna get in, do our job, get out quick, let you all go on so y'all can get y'all academics ahead of time. But at the same time, it's like days of performance, we might have somebody like drop out, or we might have like trouble saying like with equipment issues, like say like somebody probably busted the head the day before the game. So like in session, we come together, we try to help, like get everything together and just make sure that everybody is okay. So that way when we get done, we can go out and perform. And at the same time, we can also be on top of our classes. So that way we're not having to get no emails saying like, oh, you know, academic probation, or have to worry about, I failed this class this semester, I'm gonna have to take it again during the summer. There's no failing no classes in our section. We say we're gonna pass it, or we're gonna pass with that flying colors.
Yeah, because if you're failing the class, or if you're not doing too well in the class, you know, because sometimes we ask for progress reports, or we'll ask for grades. You know, it's like I'm gonna need everybody to give me either their schedule and give me their schedule along with what their grades are looking like for each class. You know, and so we'll assess, like we'll probably say if there's a freshman or somebody, and we'll say, well, why do you have a C in this class, you know, in this course, and they'll probably explain that why. And it's like, we're gonna need you to fix that before we can allow you to keep performing. You know, because one thing that we don't want to do is take the student away from their main purpose of coming to Tuskegee. Because one thing that we're all told coming into the Marching Crimson Piper Band is that we're here for a degree. We're here for a degree. We're here to graduate, and we're here to start our careers. You know, we're not here to just put our everything into band. Because if you do that, you know, unless you're a music major, you know, unless you're a performing arts major, if you are here to be a construction major, you shouldn't be focusing all your time into one bass drum part. You know, you should be focusing on trying to pass that class in order for you to graduate. And one thing about the Marching Crimson Piper Band is that we're real big on academics too, because we'll have a session after practice for either just a freshman or whoever really needs it, for us to be able to gather as multiple majors and help each other with our work. You know, like that was one thing, especially coming in as a freshman, that set a great impression on me, is that when I was an aerospace major, like my freshman year, I changed it spring of my sophomore year. When I was an aerospace major, you know, Kobe reached out to me, my section leader, Justin Plummer, reached out to me. A lot of people reached out to me and was like, well, since you're an aerospace major, you're gonna be around me a lot, so I can help you. So that way you're not gonna be failing while you're in the section. And so we definitely take the necessary time, either pre-practice or post-practice, to make sure everybody's academics is good, along with making sure that everybody's efficient musically.
Man, that's great. That's some good information. Thank you.
Yeah, I like, you know, how you say you know, academics is first. We preach the same thing at Virginia State, but you know, you don't find that in a lot of schools. You know, the way you guys, I guess, handle things. You know, school come first, and you know, you're only there for one thing, is to get a degree, not, you know, worry about, like you said, a bass drum part, or you know, a snare drum part. Yeah, I like, you know, when you mentioned that, you know, you guys, it seemed like, you know, and I'm sure all drum lines are a big family, but it seemed like you guys are really, you know, really true family. You know, not just worrying about, you know, the parts, but worrying about, you know, the school work also. You know, because if you flunk out, you can't play no drum because you flunked out of school. But yeah, you know, I like that.
We definitely try and eliminate the one and done people within the section. You know, put in one season and then they're out of there. You know, that's the absolute worst. So we're trying to make sure that that retention rate, the academic retention rate, really sticks and keeps growing and progressing as the years go by, really as the months go by.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So we pretty much know about the audition process, per the school website. Talk to us about anything else that you guys might look for in an incoming freshman.
Well, for incoming freshmen, it's always best to reach out and also submit videos. Because sometimes some people like to see what they got to work with, what can they critique, or what kind of skills are you bringing to the section, so that where we have to start from, what can we grow from, or what can you do to make your legacy last within the section, so that when people come 10 years, 5 years down the road, they were like, wow, they're playing some of the stuff that I made when I was in their shoes.
We're real big on that. We're really big on that. A lot of the things that we look for as section leaders and just members of the percussion section in general, one thing we look for in Sticky Thang is definitely dedication. You have to be dedicated to the craft, not overly dedicated, but you have to be dedicated in making sure that you sound right, you look right, making sure that this section is one of your top priorities, when it next to academics and whatnot. We also look for people who persevere. We're not really looking for people who quit easily. One thing that a lot of members of our section are mentally strong. We're very mentally strong people. When it comes to adversity, we tackle it head on. We're not people who really run away from challenges. One focus that we have within our section is discipline, and not only that, but self-presentation. Our percussion instructor, Mr. Tolbert, really makes sure that when we carry ourselves in the best manner possible. And even when it comes to public speaking too, that we project our voice, that we don't say certain types of words that'll help us pass by or just ramble, that we really mean what we say. And not only that, but put the right amount of passion behind it. So
That works.
Okay, good stuff, good stuff. So how do you recognize the right talent for your line?
Basically, during our band camp months, we just grow. We just watch how everybody grow, and when we see like if they're improving, or maybe if we can switch them to a different instrument, how can they grow from there? Or maybe if we can get a different sound from them. We just look at things like that because we want you to march for Tuskegee, but at the same time, you have to dedicate yourself to be able to perform with us and be able to groove like how we groove. So we're always open to like making different changes or suggestions, but at the same time, we have a tradition that we have to maintain at the same time. But like I said, for my past years, a lot of things have been changed, but at the same time, that tradition has been staying there.
Yeah, and I say looking at the people who do come to Tuskegee seeking a way to be able to become part of the percussion section, playing instruments, we look for certain things like, well, if you can read music. Reading is fundamental in general, but reading music is also very fundamental. We don't really want to be a section that's half of us can really read and half of us can't read. We're all trying to make sure that we can read music in some way, shape, or fashion. Like our band director, Mr. Leonard, gives us sometimes written out warm-ups just to see where everybody's mind is at when it comes to reading. And those people, of course, he's not going to really make you part of the section. He's not going to give you acceptance if you can't really read to a certain degree. But we also do take people who don't have a lot of percussion experience. Like, we're going to take somebody that might not have decades worth of percussion experience, but are willing to learn and willing to grow as a percussionist. We've sometimes had people who came and probably didn't have that much percussion experience, and then by the time that they've left the section, they became decent on their instrument. So we're also just looking for dedicated people. We're looking for people who emphasize dynamics as well within their playing. We're not looking, because there's a lot of people that come and there's people that can play, but having somebody that can play without any type of dynamic control is like having somebody that's good at dribbling, but always loses the ball every now and then. Someone that can drive, that has good handling, but they can't really control their speed when it comes to driving. So we're looking for control of your instrument as well. We're not looking for complete control, even though that's great, because we'll work with you no matter where you come from. But we're looking for somebody that has that zeal to be able to be better and see certain types of details and fix those within their plan.
Okay. Yeah. To go back, you said, and I look for the same thing. I guess being mentally, tough. You can play. You can be the best, player on the world, but you got to be mentally stable, mentally tough. Because college drumline is a little bit different from high school drumline. You carrying that drum a lot more. Because the stuff that college does, but. And that's one thing, me in the past seeing cats that can play real good, but once, they start going through band camp or just, it's the season and they just, man, the drum is heavy, got it on all day, playing all day. It's totally different. So, yeah, I like, you have to find them guys, not only can play, but also be mentally, tough. Yeah.
So can I just ask you guys, Raj and Kobe, real quick, in regards to you guys' core values for the drumline, right? Do you feel that mental stability, having priorities for the drumline, do those fall into your core values, or do you guys have specific core values for your program or for your drumline that, hey, an incoming freshman is coming in, this is what we go by, this is how we do things here?
Oh, of course. Well, our band model is setting standards is what we have done. Maintaining those standards is what we do every day. Being the oldest HBCU drumline in history, we have a large standard to uphold, and so we have a lot of people that really want to come and want to put their own, want to be the spotlight. I'll admit, when I first came into the drumline, I thought I was the best thing since sliced bread, and I had to be humbled, by my section leader, Mr. Tolbert, our instructor. And saying that it's all fine and dandy. You might come from a technical background and you might have a lot of these skills, but when it comes to, I'm gonna say, submitting to authority, not only that, but working as a team player, part of the drum, just so they can shine, just so they can really get their spotlight and their limelight. And once they get that, they just skedaddle. And so I'd say that our core values is to be able to work together as one. Another one of our models in the drumline is together we stand, divided we fall. And so if you're aiming towards the vision, or if you're doing things that really try and set our path towards the vision, then we're not really going to try and continue our process with you, trying to be within the drumline and trying to stay a part of us if you're not willing to be a team player, if you're not willing to contribute to our greatness, if I say, to be specific.
That's great. EP, we've heard this so many times. We've heard this so many times. I'm sure you've seen it so many times. Raj, like you said, sometimes you come out of high school and you're like, I'm that guy. I'm getting ready to come in. I'm getting ready to change everything. It's going to be my show at this point. And that's a good point that you put there. Let's learn to be one first. You'll get your chance. And I want to commemorate you. It's not too many people out there. I don't know too many people who say, look, as a sophomore, now I'm a captain of the line. It's twos and fews out there. And if they are, hey, congratulations. I know for me, it took me 4 years. EP, what about you?
Yeah. Years. Yeah.
And not to say that it couldn't have been done earlier, but there was just a line of folks ahead. Yeah.
Already in place.
Yeah. So I commemorate you on that. And I was getting ready to talk to you and ask you about what makes Tuskegee's Drumline Sticky Thing special. But during our conversation here, you have pretty much laid the foundation on what makes you guys special. And I think something that really stuck out to me, and there's two things here. If I were to actually speak on Tuskegee's Drumline, I would say, hey, look, you just can't get into Tuskegee. That's one, right? So if you're Dave Super Chops out here playing, did you get into the school? One, right? That's a challenge right there. And you actually have to be somebody to get into the school and then be on the drum line, because I'm sure that's just a whole nother different type of situation based on the priority with your major. You know what I mean? Some heavy majors at the school. So I commemorate you guys for that. I think that's what's special about you guys as well. The other thing is that out of all the HBCU drum lines that I've seen, I got to say that you guys' student involvement behind your line, behind your band is out of this world. Can you talk to us about that?
It's like no ever. It's like no ever. I mean, of course, you got big high schools. And during high school, I went to some other colleges game, but it's nothing like the Tuskegee student body. I mean, that's really set the energy for the game. I mean, it'd be 8 o'clock in the morning. They lined up at the gates. Gates open at 9:30, and we marching to the field at 1 o'clock, and they down there chanting. Chanting, we love the band, waiting for us to come down the hill. And when we come down the hill, it's just on. It's just the energy is just so high that when we get there, just keep going through the roof. Then halftime show over with, it's nothing but just straight crank session after that.
Oh, yes,
You know, and I had to just give you guys that compliment, man, because that's one thing outside of how you guys play and everything, man. You guys, to me, it doesn't matter who comes in there. It's like a boxer, right? A boxer, he's fighting a boxer. He's fighting a referee. If the referee is not watching, he's fighting the crowd. You know, whoever comes there and plays against you guys, it's not just battling against you. You got this whole school behind you, pretty much. That student body is pretty impressive.
Yes. We have the term "fear the shed," you know, because the shed is definitely something very serious. Our student section is what really energizes us. You know, I'd say coming in to Tuskegee, and when I was in high school, my senior year, a large part of my process of trying to get into Tuskegee, my recruitment process, the Ball and Parlay video was definitely it was something that gave me that, yeah, I gotta go there, you know, especially like seeing the Ball and Parlay video. I probably watched it like 100 times when I was seeing, you know, it's such a great song. Not only that, but seeing like how lively the student section is, because our students like the chant, like we love the band. They really mean that when they say that, you know, and the band is, every HBCU band is an ambassador for their school, you know? And so seeing how much our student section loves us as a band and a drum line specifically, it pushes us even more, you know, while we practice, while we perform, that we have to put on a show. Not only do we have to put on a show, but we got to give the people what they want. You know, they're not letting us down when it comes to supporting us. So we can't let them down when it comes to producing a certain product and finishing, you know, and putting up.
Yeah, I definitely got to say, man, when you guys go down that hill is something else. And it's just like you guys go down there and they're just, the whole student body is waiting for you guys. That's just really impressive. I think it's impressive.
Yeah, I can't.
That's what we tell our.
I can't say I've been to a lot of games. I've seen a lot of, you know, footage, but, you know, watching, you know, y'all videos, yeah, the audience or the fans is really behind the band. You know, and I think that makes the experience more better. You know, I've been to some schools, you know, where the fans just sitting there and the band doing their thing, but you need that, I guess, that the fans, you know, in my opinion.
So that's good. Just with so much participation, and I think with so much from the student body that gives to you guys an excitement, there's a lot of HBCU drum lines out there, correct? And I'd like to know who would you guys like to see just one time?
Well, I've always wanted to battle FAMU. You know, we have similar styles, and it was just, I missed personally before I came back in 2017, I had just missed the fifth quarter classic with FAMU. And so with me not being able to have that moment of playing them whatsoever, whether in the stands or whether battling blocked up, I've always wanted to battle FAMU because I respected their section, their style, their art, and the way of doing things, just like I respect a lot of other HBCU drum lines and their way of doing things. Also, that not only that, but Virginia State as well. We had the opportunity. Well, we almost had the opportunity pre-COVID to be able to try and play Virginia State's drumline, but everything happens for a reason. So we have a lot of more time to figure out what we're going to do. Not only that, but prepare ourselves mentally for that opportunity if it ever presents itself. So I definitely want to play. Well, I definitely want to battle FAMU and Virginia State.
Sounds good.
Like I said, my freshman year, well, I actually did battle against FAMU. Then going into my junior year, I had injured myself when we had played Jackson State, so I had to sit out for that game. So I was real heartbroken on that one. But honestly, really want to battle Virginia State. That's just one school. Ever since I just seen the video of the drumline, I was like, it's something different about the drumline that I need to see up close in person. So I just said, if I know that we had the opportunity, but COVID happened. But I said, if Tuskegee and Virginia State ever have to play in the future, I'm definitely coming to the game because I just have to see it for myself.
Yeah, EP, we have to set that up.
Yeah, man, I'm going to go ahead and get a U-Haul truck, get the guys on down there. Just a drumline.
Yep.
Come on, make it a good event.
We can make it a great event.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
go ahead, Rick. I'm sorry.
well, no, that was good information. So we got two schools. We got FAMU, Virginia State, and those are everybody's. I think those would be really good battles to see.
Okay, so talk to us about you guys' tuning process and stick choice.
Well, when it comes to sticks, the snare section, well, ever since I became section leader, I'd have us use ProMark Bio sticks. Not only that, but I like the Scojo, the Scott Johnson, I think it's DC17W. As far as mallets, we use ProMark as well. No, we use Ludwig for mallets, for tenor mallets, bass mallets. When it comes to tuning, that was something that definitely changed during the span of me and Kobe's tenure as section leader and co-section leader. Tuskegee, we used to have a real deep tuning when it came to snares, tenors, and basses. But as time progressed, in order to be able to stay a competitive force within the HBCU drumline world, we decided to tune every drum just a little bit higher, different heads. Instead of using Cody and Remo heads, we decided to start using Power Stroke 77s, black dots on the tenor drums, and pinstripe heads on the bass drum heads. We like our basses tuned not too high, but just a little bit to where there's just the right amount of ring, because you can hear a bass drum a lot farther when there's a ring. We like our snares on a little bit on the tighter side, but not too tight, to where it's almost Kevlar sounding. And as far as our tenors, we like our tenors tuned higher too, because usually we have a lot of tenors. I think our last real season we had about 6-7 tenors, and we don't never want our tenors to drown out our bass drum, so we have them tuned a little higher, so they can especially be heard across the field when it came to their call outs and whatnot. But yes, sir, we like our tuning as far, I'd say, a little bit on the tighter side, not too tight though.
Okay. Can I ask a question? Because there's, I did notice some things through the transition and evolution of you guys' line. It looks like at one point you had that fiber skin or some type of fiber skin hit on there, and then you switched to that clear. Was there a difference that you went from fiber skin to that pinstripe?
Well, yes, there's definitely a difference. The resonance is a lot better on the clear heads. When we used to have the cymbal, the Marching Crips and Pipers cymbal, I have one in my kitchen. That's why I'm looking. But when it came to those heads, there was a loss of sound projection when it came to bass drums and hitting them. But the clear heads definitely make for a better resonance tone for the bass drum. So that's why we decided to stick to it. We really want to put black dots on those, but we're trying to get our bass drum section leader and our band director to get that in tune. Everybody has different opinions on tuning, but as far as right now, we like the Remo clear pinstripe on our bass drums.
Cool.
That sound.
Okay. So, one of my favorite videos, I think it's a battle with you guys in Morehouse. I think it was maybe a couple years ago, but I like your cadence structure. Talk to us about the creativity in you guys' cadences.
When it comes to the creativity in our cadences, we like to implement as much. We try to cover the wide spectrum of genres when it comes to drumming, I'd say. So with me being a drum set player, when I try and help make a cadence, I like to make it sound as live band performing as possible. When it comes to different parts with cymbals, snare, bass drums, tenors, with implementing like different genres, probably like Latin or, a little bit of funk here and there, something more traditional sounding, maybe just for a couple of minutes, just try and have something fifing, drum corps sounding, and then probably switch it up with some type of beat that James Brown would have when he was playing, live. And so with the creativity within our cadences, we have some cadences that have been passed around, that ended up in our book, some cadences that probably UAPP have played, Grambling have played,
Morris Brown.
But when it comes to creativity, we like to utilize as much of the 40 rhythms as we possibly can, but make it sound good. Like I sort of see it as, because I like using GarageBand and Ableton and sometimes like producing and whatnot with my friends. And if you have too many tracks on there and everything's like hitting at the same time, it's not going to sound good. You want to have different things hitting different spaces and making it all work together as well. Like we have this cadence called Craig that was made from an alumni named Craig that was in the section back then. And the thing that I love about that cadence is that everybody's part, it sounds very linear. Not everyone plays at the same time. We have a lot of linear parts when it comes to snares, tenors, and bass drum. And you can hear it, because sometimes what I'll do is when we're blocked up, I'll say, okay, let me only have the tenors and let me only have the basses play. Play this long, then I'll cut them off. Or then I'll say, like, all right, now let's implement the cymbals and everything. And you can hear the linear chops within that cadence. And so we're trying to carry on that legacy with all of our other cadences as well. Everybody's part plays a key role, so when it comes, because you'll notice it, I'll do that purposely. So I'll be like, it sounds off because the tenors aren't playing. Their part is just as key as the cymbals, and their part is just as key as the snares, as the quints, and so on and so on.
Okay, so I guess it's safe to say that most of the cadences are, written by the students. Okay. Good job.
Okay, so that's real interesting to know. Whereas some schools may have like an instructor who's over it and disseminates the cadences out. You guys have the creative ability to just go ahead and create the cadences amongst yourself, correct?
Oh yeah, well, we also make sure that we put an emphasis on the traditional cadences that we have as well. We have a very large marching cadence book, and so we'll make sure to implement as much of those as possible. And one thing our percussion instructor always tells us is that we ought to learn some of these cadences, so people from 10, 20, maybe even 30 years could come back and play with us, and seeing that, I don't even know how to describe it. It's really just
pretty much recycling our book, like some things that may be old to the older generation will be new when it's presented to us. Or, for example, if we say like we had to go battle Miles and we pulling stuff from 20, 30 years ago, and Miles just now saying, they were like, they just made that up this year? Like, where y'all been hiding this at? Just things like that. And
then we have other things too, where like we'll make something new, especially when it comes to call outs too. We like making call outs as well and having them be real creative. But yeah, like I was saying, it's really nice to see the old members and new members of the Drumline come together and play something, and play the same material. It's real nice to see. And so when it comes to cadences, we emphasize our traditional cadences a lot, but we also push to be able to make a lot of new material because, you know, time is going. You know, we can't keep playing the stuff that we were playing in '05, or we can't keep playing the stuff that we were playing in 2010. You know, we always have an emphasis to be able to make something new. Especially Mr. Leonard, our band director, about every year he's like, I'm gonna need you guys to make something new and fresh for a feature that we're gonna have in our next field show. Not only that, but I'm gonna need you guys to like update your stand cadences book, update your marching cadences book. You know what I mean? Because he might be like, I'm tired of hearing the same thing. Or, you know what I mean, we need something new and fresh in order to be able to keep us going. Can't keep putting the same engine. Well, you can't put the same engine in a new car, you know, because eventually the engine's gonna wear out. You know, so you might have a new model, but what's keeping the cars going isn't gonna be new and fresh. So of course we're gonna try and make the necessary adjustments and come up with the necessary parts we need to be able to keep moving forward as a section through time.
Hey, EP, let me ask you a question since we're talking about cadences and everything. So as you're the instructor, how much creative freedom do you give the folks in Virginia State's line?
I don't give them no freedom. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. No, I mean, I push them, you know, to be creative. You know, some of them are gonna be percussion majors. I mean, music teachers. So I push them to, you know, write stuff, you know, for the line. A lot of times, you know, a lot of people don't know that I let them write for the field show. The field show, the percussion parts, I let them do their thing. You know, usually percussion blocks, you know, any battles, cadences, you know, blocks, features, whatever, it's usually me, you know, I would say 90% of the time, but usually the halftime features and all the songs, I let them do their thing. But, you know, I do get them, you know, little freedom. I look over it first, you know, have them change everything that need to be changed, but I let them, you know, do their thing, you know, far as the music.
That's really great, man. You know, Raj and Kobe, I think you guys have provided some good insight into Tuskegee's drumline. Real quick though, where did the name Sticky Thang come from?
Well, I was talking with one of our alumni, Timothy Sparks, one of the founders of Sticky Thang, and he was saying at one point, because Tuskegee, well, our section used to be called the Bongo Brothers, no relation to South Carolina State, you know. And so eventually the Bongo Brothers died off, not physically, but, you know, I mean, eventually it died off. And so there was a point in the band, what I was told, there was a point in the band where every section had a call, you know, as far as like Screaming Demon or like the Twirling Divas or the Piperettes had something, you know, everybody had a call out. And so with Bongo Brothers being gone, they were looking at each other and was like, you know, we need something to say, you know, we're just as tight as everyone else, if not that. So what I heard was that they sat down one day and were thinking, how about this? And we were like, nah, how about this? And then it was like, nah, that doesn't sound good. And then what Sticky Thang ended up being the name that everybody agreed on, you know, because we're so close as a section. You know, we're so close that we don't really let anything go by. You know, when I say our mascot is the spider in the spider's web, you know, because, you know, once you're stuck in the spider's web, there's really nothing you can do to be able to get out of there. And it takes a time to be able to craft the web. You know, the web of many spiders can take down a line, is what they tell each other as well. So, yeah, so Sticky Thang because we're very close.
Sounds good to me. Thank you. So as we pretty much come to a close here, I know you guys play, you're playing percussion at this point in time, playing in the drum line. If you think back, or even present and past, who are some of your influences when it comes to percussion?
Well, when it comes to drum set, some of my influences would be Nate Smith, Jay Douglas, my instructor. And when it comes to marching, I'd say Ralph Nader. He's definitely somebody who I look up to, you know, just being exceptionally clean when it comes to everything that he does. And that's something that's a level I strive to be at, you know.
When I got to high school and I started picking up drums, I actually wanted to learn how to play drum set. So I started looking at people like Buddy Rich. Then later on in the year, I actually got to meet Yayo the drummer. So that's he was really one of my influences. I said, came from Tuskegee. I'm about to go to Tuskegee. well, let me see what his craft look like. What does he have? What his techniques that he could have learned from Tuskegee that he uses to today. So that's been one of my influences.
Big shout out to Yale, the drummer as well. One of the sticky things, very out here doing this thing in the world.
Good.
Kobe, you mentioned earlier that you, I guess you started off on the African drums, or
Yeah.
did you continue playing, or you just?
My high school band director, he eventually left, and the drums were just sitting in the corner, and I sort of kind of helped start to get the program back going, but as you know, went to go to college, and we've been having new directors come in. Students just been pretty much moving the drums around. Some of them have came up missing, or some of them just have been damaged. But I try every now and then. I try to me and my friends. We just get together. We'll just beat on the drums a little bit. Create little beats to it. Or we'll get the little song book and we just play around on the things like that. And we'll just trying to keep it going. But like I said, me and my friends, we graduated, moved on with our lives. I haven't actually seen them drums about 2 years now, so I don't know what type of condition they're in.
Gotcha.
But yes. Would I love to start it back again? Most definitely.
Okay. Yeah, I started off at a young age with the djembes and the different African drums, in high school. It was fun to me. Yeah. All right, so Rick, you got to thank you. You was
Well,
going to say something?
I just want to say thank you guys for coming on, telling us and telling our viewers about what you guys do at Tuskegee. I think this is a really great episode for our viewers to see it because we don't really hear about, Tuskegee that much. And that's why we wanted to reach out and say, look, what great things are you guys doing down at Tuskegee? Who do you play per se? What do you like to play? Things like that. As we close it out, we want to ask you guys, do you have any questions for us, Elijah or myself?
What do you guys look for when watching drumline battles, probably on YouTube or maybe through Facebook, through the Percussion Connection per se? How would you determine which section wins the battle? Since it's really a bragging rights type thing, there's really no official winner announced. But what would you say are the things that you look for to determine which section won between the battle of each other?
I would say, in my opinion, creativity, the use of different rhythms, not just a funk beat. But me being a world percussionist, I like to hear them Latin rhythms, the 12/8s, the 6/8, the 3/4, whatever. Intensity, is a big thing. And being clean, that's basically my thing. Intensity, being clean, use of different rhythms. Yeah, that's my biggest thing. Being enthusiasm, Rick?
Yeah, there's so many HBCU drumlines out here, and each of them have their own specific identity as well. So in any type of battle, those battles, sometimes they get out of hand, and sometimes they're like, okay, this again, or things kind of gets drowned out from time to time, depending on what battle that you're watching. I think for me, what I like to see, what I watch is, the tunnel. When folks do their tunnels, because that's a good opportunity to just see how the drum line gets down, how they play, and how the whole band is reacting with the drum line, how folks get into the stands. I think that's what I look at. That's what's most important to me.
My question would be what inspires you all to pick up the drums or to even join marching band?
Rick, you want to go? I can go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, what inspired me, my mom bought me a little Smurf drum set, when I was 6 years old. My brother played in high school. He also played at Virginia State, played bass drum. He inspired me. And just me listening to, different, recordings growing up, Dave Wackel on drum set. But the biggest thing was the African drums, like I stated, it was a dance ensemble that gave me, opportunity to play for them, play the djembes. I did it for like 2 or 3 years in high school. But that really inspired me, to not, I guess, just do marching percussion, but open my eyes to all percussion, But as far as drumline, starting that, I guess my brother, he kind of influenced me, to get in band.
Yeah, I think on my end, I've always been a drum set player all my life. So, I always tell the story. I really didn't know too much about marching bands until about my freshman year in high school. And what happened, I came back from summer break and my dad was telling me that, hey, the phone's been ringing off the hook all summer about you coming over to this high school for their drum line and everything. And I said, okay, I don't know anything about it, but I'll go check it out. And I jumped in, did it as a freshman in high school. And then next time I marched my freshman year in high school, and then I didn't pick up marching band again until a senior in high school. And the reason why I was like, man, this is time consuming. It's taken away from I could be getting better at drum set. But then what happened was I saw Virginia. I went to a homecoming, and I just saw the drum line and I said, it was just out of this world. And this was back, in 95. And I said, I would be there the next semester. And lo and behold, Elijah and myself marched at the same time.
One last one.
Yeah.
So is there anything that either of you would like to see Tuskegee do or do more of or do less of in the up and coming years?
I would say do more of being you guys, keeping your you guys' identity. Do more of that. I wouldn't say do less of anything. Do more of keeping your identity. Keep doing that. I would say, don't be afraid to, I guess, step outside the box as far as those rhythms. The 12/8, the whatever, different rhythms, different grooves, different, stuff like that. Other than that, keep doing what you do. Stay true to you guys' identity.
Yeah, I think Elijah pretty much summed it up there, man. I want to see Tuskegee be Tuskegee, whether it's Tuskegee today or Tuskegee 10 years from now. I can always go and say, look, that's Tuskegee. You play them at home, they're going to be hard to beat. Yeah, that's just the bottom line.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, man, you guys are doing a great job as well. And I appreciate both of you guys coming on and chatting with us. And as we close it out, before we do, and Raj and Kobe, I got a question for you. If you had 30 days, right? If you had full reign and you had an opportunity to go and get your hands on any HBCU drumline that you would like to coach, to be creative with, have your creative freedom with any HBCU drumline outside of the SEAC, what would it be?
Jackson State.
Jackson State.
Okay. Kobe?
I have to go with Southern.
Okay. Jackson State and Southern.
So what would, if you don't mind me asking, Raj and Kobe, what would you guys, for Jackson State, what would you do?
Well, I would, it's already such a great program, but what I would do is I'll try and make the book just a little bit more lengthy when it comes to like more student created cadences and whatnot. Also probably like implement a lot more visuals, because Tuskegee as a line, we're very visual. We have a lot of visuals within our cadences and when we play. So try and do a lot more visually appealing stuff, but try and do a lot more visually appealing stuff, but implement something more modern within it. So do something that nobody else has seen. So instead of doing like a right hand or left hand stick twirl, try and come together and be like, what have they seen that nobody else seen? Like probably like Walking on the Drums, like MCAT did, or PV, where you had the tenor player playing upside down. What's something that nobody else has done? So that's something that I want to probably implement there if I had 30 days free reign.
Okay.
If I had 30 days free reign, I would try to like help develop that intensity, that like killer instinct and like that crowd pleasing or that world shocker within the section. Like, don't get me wrong, they have a good section, great program, but it's like you always say, every program is always missing something. And for me, for 30 days, I want to help them pretty much find out what is that small factor that they're missing that sets their drum line away from their band. So when they get looked at, be like, oh, well, Southern got the great wind band and everything, but that drum line though, that drum line is really what's setting the tone.
Yeah, good.
Okay. Yes, I don't know if you guys ever watched any of our previous episodes, but we always end with a one question or where you guys drumsticks at? You trying to see something?
I got my car. Matter of fact, I can go grab them right quick if need be.
I got my V's in the trunk. What's up?
Uh-oh.
Hey, we can wait. We can.
All right.
You say I got my Z's in the trunk. You gonna wait or what?
Yeah. My man got his symbols.
Yeah, he said he got the Z's.
Okay.
He said he got them ready.
Yeah, so real good information, man. I'm glad, we just took the time to speak to them. They provided so much good information, man. This was.
And shout out to them, man, with the hard majors, and still being able to, because I don't think I could do it. I don't think, being a music major was, kind of
challenging enough.
Challenging, yeah, but aerospace and all that, nah.
I did like, just in general, Ben, what are you there for? Don't forget about what you're there for. Sometimes, we get caught up in it and it engulfs us. And next thing you know, you're in the band, and the band is now turned into the academics when, you could really get lost in that.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, show us something. Quick lick, 30 seconds.
So, Miss Raj, give it to us.
Man, you gotta sleep.
Nice.
Excuse me, a little bit of dirt. Let me flip the camera for Kobe.
Oh, wait a minute, he got his symbols.
Yeah.
Masterful.
Now, I just want to say this. I can play cymbals, I can play all the drums, but for the cymbals to do all that twirling, my hat's off. Something that I probably could never do. One thing, them 20s are too doggone heavy. And I work out, but them 20s, man, no joke. But
are those 20s that you play?
Yes, sir.
So what I learned down in the South, they don't do nothing less than 20s.
20s are better. 20s are better.
But my salute, to all cymbal players, But that was nice, man. That was very, very nice and smooth. Both you guys.
Appreciate you.
But yeah, so we have come to an end. First, I want to thank Raj and Kobe, Tuskegee Drumline, for taking time out their day, out of classes, schoolwork, band practice, to come on our cast. Please like and subscribe on Facebook, IG, YouTube, SoundCloud, Pandora, iHeartRadio. Please hit that like and share button, share with your family. Nick Cannon, if you're listening, I'm going to say it again. I emailed you. We need to get you on the cast. Your movie was a great inspiration. But like I said, once again, I want to thank, Tuskegee Drumline for coming on, being a part of our cast. And to all our listeners, take care, and we see you next time.